Say angels, this is the weekly general reading for the period of today, Sunday, October 3rd through Saturday to come, October 9th. And there are a bunch of feast days and throughout different cultures around the world this week. So we have a lot to talk about after I finish the cards. So I want to jump right in here. We're starting today with the Queen of Wands. In terms of the cards, the Queen of Wands is one of the most fertile. And this can be like in a literal sense or in a, metaphorically. We could be talking about fertile energies in the tarot. Very feminine, womanly, and one of the strongest decks of that type, strongest energies of that type in the deck. In a reading, like all court cards, she can definitely signify an actual literal person in our lives. Most often, if she does, that person is female and or feminine. And most often, if you get really into the traditional tarot stuff, it's going to be a female with a lighter hair of lighter shades, of the color wheel or spectrum, as they say. She brings really good energy with her, positive sign to receive, or positive card to receive in a reading. Queen of Wands upright. She may actually be an Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, or someone likened to those traits or attributes. One of the transits that occurs this week does involve Sagittarius. In fact, it's Venus, so another very feminine energy, a mother energy, enters Sagittarius this week. We'll talk about that again after the cards. She enters Sagittarius on the 7th, and a few things happen on the 7th. So Mary, speaking of mother, also has a feast day on the 7th, and it is Our Lady of the Rosary. And also on the 7th, the Hebrew month of Heshvan begins, and that's the second month of the Hebrew year. Well, if you're counting from Rosh Hashanah. Anyway, we'll talk about all that stuff again after. So now you guys see why I want to sort of jump in. So we're starting, like I said, with the Queen of Wands. And again, she may be here. Actually, the Knight of Wands is right behind her, but he's in reverse. She may be here because of that Venus in Sagittarius transit. Also, Coffin from my fortune teller's deck. And I just had this deck just still sitting out on my desk, and I was like, I should use this. Natural endings abound. Take care with your health. And this could be talking about a few things. This week there is a new moon. So it's like at the beginning of we start off with the end of the endings from the full moon energy that we experienced over the past 2 weeks. We have that. And also, like I said, there was so many different cultural things going on. The new moon sort of feast day festival attached with this time of year and the new moon in India, and particularly for people who are Hindu, but it's all around India as I understand it. This one is very much attached to prayers from and for our dead. So like our ancestors, our departed loved ones. So that could be another reason maybe why Coffin is showing up here. And then we have the Knight of Swords. So the Knight of Swords, another really positive energy, at least as far as I'm concerned. I'm biased as a Gemini, Aquarius, I'm biased. But it is really a positive card. It brings a fairly upbeat, at least fairly, and very cheerful energy. Knights can often mean that someone or something, that we would want to. So something like desirable is about to seek you out. Also for me, that would be like more traditional tarot practice. For me personally, the way that I read night energy, it's about some sort of action that takes place. Like the pages bring like the information and the news and, warning or whatever. And then the knight takes the actual action that's associated with it. So that's how I pick it up. Knight of Swords can also point to physical, emotional, or spiritual energy being like at its peak, so very high right now, and you should use it. This too could be because of Venus, right? Venus represents, she rules 2 air signs, Libra and Gemini. And, she represents that Queen of Swords energy, for me at least, as well as that of the Queen of Pentacles, but that's another story. What else I want to say about the Knight of Swords? If you're waiting for information or like news from someone or something, a job or whatever, you're likely to hear back from them, and it should be positive. Knight of Swords can also point to a lot of activity. So you could be very busy this week, just like buzzing around. It could be about travel, out and about, getting things accomplished, knocking out your goals. And it's not likely that if you do have something to do that maybe involves other people, but if you wanted to, you could really do it yourself. It's that one of those kind of weeks where you're probably not going to want to wait for those other people, and you're going to rather just go after whatever it is yourself, because you could get it done better, faster, all of that. Get ready for progress to speed up. This situation requires you to choose logic and intellect over emotion and to make your decisions quickly. The Knight of Swords is decisive, focused, driven, and impulsive. And behind the Knight of Swords here is actually the Two of Swords in reverse. So again, it can be about a decision that you have to make, or that you're awaiting, or both. You're awaiting a decision so that you know what decision to make for yourself, and then you can take an action. All right, because you're a knight. So with that, we'll check out the dice. We're starting with email. Speaking of waiting for news, maybe it'll arrive via email, or you'll send out an email decision to somebody about something. Also, dirty movie. Can be about pictures, videos. Sometimes it's about something like global or, countrywide, worldwide, that goes like, or, viral. Often, well, it can be all kinds of different news stories and stuff. But I had been feeling, and I don't remember what it was attached to or what I attributed it to, but I had been feeling that people should be careful. Maybe it's Mercury retrograde. That probably makes sense. Be careful with people that maybe have pictures of you, or somebody could find something out, like in the internet, get a copy of a text or something, or see some pictures, or somebody receives an email or a text that maybe they weren't supposed to see, or they come across it somehow. That can be attached to the dirty movie. I felt that about a week ago, and I never said anything to anybody about it. Also, party is the third one. Also, speaking of party, happy birthday to any Libras out there celebrating. Congratulations to anybody that has anything worth celebrating going on right now, and all of that. Spirit says buy shoes. Forget it. And stay in bed. So I'm going to start shuffling these cards in front of you. I shuffled them already. Opening first to the Eight of Wands. Again, this can be about news, information coming in, communication, email, movement where something hadn't been moving before. Maybe in your love life, maybe moving on past a period of hurt, sadness, separation, loss, disappointment, something emotional. Fear. And moving on to something better, maybe. Something for which you've prayed or wished, desired, or knocking out some goal again that you've been working hard on. The star represents the sign of Aquarius most directly. And the Knight of Pentacles upright next. Possibly something involving a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, or someone likened to those traits or attributes. And or this is about a slow and steady progress that has been made or will be made. It can also be about somebody wanting to be generous with or toward you this week. And you realizing that sitting around on your butt wallowing in self-pity does no good for anybody, and you're ready to cut that out if you've been doing that. And maybe you have been doing that because of the Three of Swords, if you were experiencing any of those things that I described in association with the Three of Swords, and you're done, right? You're done. You went through, you cried it out, and you are, again, feeling stronger and aware that you have the ability to accomplish different things, and you're ready to get up and do that. Next card is the Magician. So you're not only ready, but enabled, empowered to be able to do whatever it is you want to do. Major Arcana card 1, the Magician, most directly represents the sign of Gemini, which again has a few things going on with this week. Not only does one of our rulers into Sagittarius, which is our mirror sign and ruler of our 7th house of first one-on-one relationships, but also, how could I forget, Mercury. Mercury is retrograde in our fellow air sign, Libra, which is ruled by Venus. So we got a lot of, stuff going on between our two rulers, a lot of stuff happening. And then on top of that, Ceres, the asteroid, goes retrograde in Gemini this week. Also, actually, Ceres in Gemini is one of my natural placements, I believe. So that we have that. But in any case, Mercury is and the Magician is about the ability, the wherewithal, the nature, the energy, whatever it is you need to get whatever it is you want to get accomplished done. The next card, it could be something in love, or maybe something involving a Scorpio or other water sign, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, but the Queen of Cups most directly represents the sign of Scorpio. I'm being greedy now. We got the moon. There is a new moon this week, so maybe that'll be involved. And there's that 3 of Swords now in reverse. Again, it's about being over it, moving on from those kind of energies. You saw that I had accidentally picked up the next card too, and that revealed the 5 of Cups. So we're leaving that 5 of Cups in the past, that disappointment, again, that feeling of loss, sense of loss. We dealt with it. After that was the 3 of Swords in reverse, moving on. And we've moved all the way down to here, to this 4 of Swords. Now I'm going to shuffle these a little bit. Okay. First opening to a Chariot, which is, again, another card that's about movement. Represents the sign of Cancer most directly in the tarot. And then birth. Universal energy brings you opportunity and possibility. And birth is about newness. Could be attached to the new moon. New cycle. Here's another star. Hard time to over. Look forward to an abundance of happiness, enthusiasm, and positivity. And the Sun. Overall energy now is fire. Let go of emotional upheaval and embrace the renewal of the present. So again, newness, leave the past where there was upheaval, where there was, a lot going on. Something, you got to let something burn, and move on from it. Leave that behind you and, embrace, look forward to, move into the energy of the present, the now, and this feeling and sense of renewal that surrounds you. And newness. And lastly, these, because there's so many, I just do it like this. I shuffle them in my hand too, before I start. And it's a Fool. Major Arcana card 0, the Dreamer, which is actually the Fool, 0 in the traditional tarot. A leap of faith. Follow your dreams, that leads to unexpected opportunities. Actually, this particular card, like this exact card from this particular deck. So the Dreamer in the Angel deck has always, it doesn't matter how many different decks I've had, copies of this deck. I use them until like this, as the wheels fall off, as they say, until I can't use them anymore. And then I replace them, the same cards. And from the first time I got my very first deck and opened it up and saw the Dreamer, it felt like the planet Mercury. I can't explain what that means, but it felt like the planet Mercury, and that's all I have to say about that. And so it does represent for me the planet Mercury, and it's probably tied to, again, some of the movement that's occurring this week, the transits occurring this week, either involving Mercury, as in the retrograde, or involving Gemini, as in maybe something going on with the true node, or Ceres going retrograde in the sign of Gemini. But this too is about newness, a leap of faith towards something new. Your dreams could very well be attached to the star, again, which represents the sign of Sagittarius, Aquarius most directly. And there was a transit, I think, actually. Is that this week or next week? Might be next week. Well, we'll see at the end. But Saturn is retrograde in Aquarius. We keep seeing the star. I think it's the 10th that Saturn goes direct finally. Again, in the sign of Aquarius. That may be why the star is, but this reading is through the 9th. All right, so we're going to get started using these. I'm grabbing the stands right now. Card most directly representing us this week as a collective, 9 of Swords in reverse. Surrounding energy involving close friends, family members, co-workers, Page of Swords, upright. Work and finance, 8 of Pentacles in reverse. Love and relationship, 6 of Swords in reverse. Physical health, Sun in reverse. And spiritual health, last but not least, 2 of Cups. Could be about a spiritually based relationship, in reverse. I had thought about some stuff about spiritually based relationships too, that I never mentioned to anybody. But I had a whole bunch of like downloads coming about that. So starting from the 4 of Cups in reverse, as I mentioned before, this is a card about breaking out of a self-imposed rut. You know, you're in a rut, but you realize that you sort of put yourself there, or that you can. If you don't realize you put yourself there, you at least realize that you can get yourself out. You can control your own destiny to an extent. So it's time for you to get on with it, right? And you're just ready to do this, and you're about to find yourself getting moving again. That's a really good thing. This is a time to begin to like stop any self-pity maybe that may have been going on, or giving into the if only this and if only that, you know, if only I was younger, if only I was thinner, if only I was, you know, heavier, hippier, breastier, my butt was bigger, I had more curves, my hair was longer, my hair was shorter, you know, I wasn't afraid to cut it. I could go, if only I had the head that could go bald. If only I had more money. If only I lived closer to him or to her or whatever. All these if onlys. And you're just realizing that maybe you could have made a different decision in the past. You didn't. We're here now. And, you know, how do we go? How do we get forward? Right? It doesn't really matter how we got here. Also, it's like, not only about starting where we are, you know, and knowing that no matter what's happening, we can change things and we can make a difference. It's also about counting your blessings, because we've been doing a lot of self-pity and, you know, and not counting, not acknowledging what's in the cups that we do have, you know. So that's really what this is about too. And this can be applied to every area of your life, really. So I'm going to quickly move on to the 9 of Swords in reverse, the card that most directly is representing all of us this week, you know, is a focus. And this is a card that says we're worried about something, and perhaps for good reason. You know, the thing is not to let worries get too far out of control. And, you know, we definitely need to take some sort of action like the Knight of Swords would do, or even the Knight of Pentacles would do, even though he would first make a, devise a plan and go about it very methodically, whereas the Knight of Swords may just fly off, the handle or whatever else he can fly off of, just fly off, period. Regardless of what method, it's about taking some sort of action about the things that we can control, right? And keeping worries in perspective. Rarely are any problems permanent. Well, actually, nothing is permanent, but like death, right? Physical death. That's the only thing that's permanent. And even that's not completely permanent if you talk, like I said, I was specified physical death because, the soul doesn't die. So even death isn't necessarily permanent. The soul rises again, and often incarnates another body. But that's a whole other conversation. Anyway, especially when it comes to people that you've just met, though, the Nine of Swords definitely suggests like caution. These new people may not be who they seem to be. So use caution and like, common sense, reasonable doubt when, signing anything or entering in any kind of business deal or romantic relationship, even all that kind of stuff. Just like slow down, work, you could be worrying about your job. Is it going to change? Anything? No. You're just going to be nervous at your job. Just do the best you can. And, don't be timid if you feel that someone in your workplace is mistreating you or has taken credit for your work or something in some way. Somebody could have done something or could do something or attempt to do something this week distrustful in terms of the workplace, in terms of taking credit for what you're doing. So if that happens, definitely speak up for yourself and your talents. And that really goes well with the Eight of Pentacles in reverse, because this is a card where, like, for example, if you're looking for a job, you are really going to have to be prepared to impress this potential employer with what a hard worker you can be, so you gotta lay on the Knight of Pentacles stuff real thick. I'm dependable, I'm, reliable, people like me, I'm, I follow plans, I follow order, I like, tradition, all this kind of stuff. And if you're already in a job and you feel like you've already got enough to do, it's possible that you may be asked to do more than is possible. It's possible that you may be asked to do more than is possible. Yes. More than that's even humanly possible. One person can't do all this, period. Give it your best and then some. And, if you need help, then you can ask for it, but make sure that it's clear and you've shown, or that you do show that you're giving, 100%, 200%, whatever it is. And that it's not possible for one person to do all that needs to be done. Trying to avoid tasks, however, like trying to be slick right now, is not good and can get you fired. So I kind of went into what the Eight of Pentacles is all about. I can skip work and just go straight to finance when I get to that placement. But in this one, getting back to people that are surrounding you, surrounding energy, it may be a coworker who is distrustful, okay? Well, this person, maybe somebody you have a conflict with or who's distrustful in relation to this Nine of Swords. Or there could be somebody you meet maybe as a new friend or romantically or for a business venture that you can't, they're just not all that they appear necessarily, or you need to take some time to find out if they are. And it actually makes sense with the Six of Swords in reverse too in the placement of love and relationship, because this can mean that there is something that we need to talk about. And it can even be, especially with the Page of Swords, again, in the surrounding energy, there can even be mild conflict. And mild conflict doesn't mean we have to get into an argument, we have to break up, we got to stop speaking or anything like that. It just means that there is something probably that we need to address that we've probably been sweeping under the rug, and it's going to come up to be addressed. And we're going to have to deal with it. So could it lead to an argument? Yeah, but that kind of depends on you. Kind of depends on whether you're able to stay calm and the other person, and your reaction to them and their reactions to you, and whether you guys are able to stay calm and respectful in your talks. So to move on specifically to this placement of the surrounding energy, again, co-workers, close friends, family members, the Page of Swords, like all court cards, can sometimes, represent an actual person in our lives, a literal person. And if so, in this case, the person may very well represent somebody that is younger than you, right? And that doesn't have to mean years or whatever. It could just be younger or more youthful acting. You may even consider maybe less mature, silly, even possibly. If so, right? If this is the case, and the person's younger than you, then also, well, whether they're younger you or not. Another traditional thing about the Page of Swords is that they can have darker hair. So this helps you to think of who it might represent in your life. Pages also can often indicate that a message is coming, and in the instance of the Page as opposed to the Knight, where I said the Knight is likely what you want to hear, a decision you've been waiting to hear, is you're going to hear what you want, it's going to be positive. With the Page, sometimes it may not necessarily be what you were hoping to hear, maybe not all of it, at least. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Also, this can be about maybe trying too hard, pushing too fast, and that may be what about the person that's surrounding you is off, and you need to watch first. You need to get to know them first, right? Something can feel distrustful or disingenuous if somebody's like going too hard, too fast. You're like, whoa, we just met. You know what I mean? Be careful of stuff like that. You can look at body language and whatnot and try to, consider or, feel out what you think also with these people, with the Page. Love and work, it can mean, again, dealing with some sort of conflict, either with someone at work or at work. And again, that conflict doesn't have to be like you get into a fight at work. It can just be, I'm conflicted, or the fact that I've been given all this work that if one person can't handle is a conflict. It doesn't mean I'm having a conflict with another person necessarily. Definitely, again, be careful about contracts and stuff, though. Be cautious with that sort of thing. Love and relationship also, again, mild conflict, as I explained. Maybe because the Six of Swords can be about something that needs to come up. Just know like when to push and when to back off, right? Because a lot of, fights, they're not even worth having, with a romantic partner or interest or somebody that we care about. And so if we can avoid this, it's best to do that. If your partner needs space, which they may, I don't think it's an accident even that with the placements of the physical health and the Nine of Swords, that the Sun in reverse is sitting right underneath the Nine of Swords, because the Sun in reverse can be about needing a break, whether that is physical or mental in terms of your health. Like it like the Sun upright, it's a pretty positive card for health in general, and maybe all you need is, to chill out. Keep doing what you've been doing that's been keeping, you with a smile on your face and a sunny disposition about you, feeling more positive than maybe you had, prior or for a long time, possibly. So, yeah, it can be for a matter of your health or for your partner's health or both, that you may need to just chill or again, try to remain calm. Getting upset can lead to problems with like blood pressure and things like that, right? Temperature rising, and we don't want that. All right, so I'm going to move on to the Eight of Pentacles in reverse, and I already did the work part. So I'm going to do the finance part. This is the work and finance placement. But the finances, this card can warn us about maybe being, I don't know what the word is, delusional, delusional. That could be the word about money, right? Like there's nothing wrong with dreaming. There's nothing wrong. In fact, there's everything right with believing, I manifest, I do this, I do that. But it's about like not counting on the lottery to fix our financial problems or to pay all our bills. Like I'll win the lottery this week and then I'll be able to pay my mortgage. It's about facing what's going on in our, financial situations, and being willing to work and being patient, because it's this pentacles, this earth energy, right? Against slow and steady progress. They say good things come to those who wait, but it should really be good things come to those, who work or put some effort into stuff and wait. Nearly like every overnight success was actually years in the making. It's not really many people who in one day, all of a sudden, they went from nothing to something and being a success. They had to work toward it, some faster than others, but they had to work toward it nonetheless. So that's what we got to do this week. Moving on to love and relationship in the Six of Swords in reverse. So as I mentioned already, this card can mean we're about to confront some necessary issues in order to, in order for a relationship to be able to move forward. That doesn't have to involve fights. I want to stress this, or arguments or anything. If we communicate calmly and effectively, then it won't involve fights. It's definitely not a time to hold things in, to try to avoid, how do they say, save face, or avoid hurting people's feelings and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, you can choose your words if you want to avoid hurting people's feelings. Think before you just start spouting things off, because you could cause damage. And there's a song like that, right? You could do damage. Careful who you take for granted, because you could do damage. As you talk about communication, but I guess that could be what the communication is about, having taken a representative, a relationship for granted, maybe, because that popped right into my head. If you're thoughtful about, how you speak your piece, things should go very, very well. And, very positive outcome for everyone involved, whether that means, that the relationship together moves ahead, or that means part ways, but everybody's happy, and whatever it means, it's positive. And you might not be having the conversation with someone you're actively in a relationship with. It could be somebody from whom you're separating, from somebody that you're divorcing, your child's other parent. Sometimes we have to have these kind of mature, right, responsible conversations with people. They do surround love and relationship, but we're not trying to make a relationship of it. You know what I mean? All right, so moving on again to the sun and health. So even in reverse, as I had started to say, health and feelings of, goodness, well-being should be high. All right, this is a great time to take some time off, again, a break if you can, if you're able to just enjoy life in any capacity, a day, a few hours, or whatever it is, a week, that'd be great. And this can be mental as well as physical. It's about health overall. Spiritual, we're still going to leave over there. But, I guess it could even involve that too. But, this is more about your body, so mind, body, and then spirit over there. If we feel good and we feel positive, that can directly affect how well or not our body works. This disease is dis-ease. It's discomfort, not feeling good. And so if you feel good, you usually feel good. You know what I mean? And if you have been feeling good, because you've been feeling good, figure out, see if you can pinpoint exactly what it is you've been doing, because you've been doing it right, and we should build on it. We should keep doing it. Also, this is one of these cards that reminds us that we have a lot to be grateful for, a lot to be thankful for. Just like the Four of Cups in reverse, that's our overall energy. And it's important that we make it a point to acknowledge that. And that can be maybe where be careful what you or who you take for granted comes in, because if you don't, you could do damage. All right. And last but not least, the Two of Cups in spirituality, spiritual health. So this is a time to work on our feelings of belonging, maybe belonging in a partnership, belonging in our families, in our groups of friends, in a spiritual circle, like we don't necessarily know where we fit in. And that's what this card is about. And it can be about a feeling of belonging that you're generating, beginning to have with the energies in general, with the universe, and sort of being comfortable and at home with yourself and in your own skin. This is one of those cards that represents the heart chakra, and the opening of the heart chakra. So it's about finding our happiness, finding our joy, and then finding our love, and then sharing it. It's one of those things that nobody can do for us. So again, it's about us getting off our butts and doing it for ourselves. And this could be where some of the stuff that I had been thinking about with relation to spiritually based relationships and romantic relationships, and in particular soulmates and twin flames and all that kind of stuff, comes in. Because often when we do things for ourselves, we don't realize that is doing something in the air, right? In the atmosphere, with the energies for the relationship. I've talked a lot of times, for example, about being the Queen of Pentacles and making a home and cozying your home. And you're doing that for yourself. You're redecorating, you're remodeling, you're moving, you're getting back into knitting or crocheting or sewing or drawing or reading or whatever it is that makes you feel comfy and at home for you. But a lot of times when we do these things, that's when finally in comes, the relationship. So we didn't do it for the relationship. We didn't do it to have a relationship, but the relationship naturally, very organically comes in. Oh, I'm going to tell you a story. Speaking of very organically. So, especially since we saw that swords energy today, as well as the Scorpio. So the swords, and my Scorpio DM, were in separation. We hadn't spoken, I think like a few months at this one particular time. And I went out with my Scorpio, good girlfriend, right? Like one of my BFFs. And we went to sports bar to watch a game and have some drinks and all this kind of stuff. So, we were like among the only women at the bar part. It was like a bar restaurant. So there were people, couples, families, who knows, sitting behind us. But at the bar, it was only us and like a bunch of guys that I recall. Anyway, we met these guys and we ended up like going all over the town with them. Bar hopping, club hopping, all this stuff. And a couple days later, I think it was days later, might have been weeks later, I was in the shower. I kid you not. This was super, super organic and random, Gemini that I am, spur of the moment. I'm in the shower, and all of a sudden, I just felt so guilty that I should have never gone out with these guys or this, and paid this one in particular, a lot of attention, or allowed him to do that to me, pay me a lot of attention, as if we were like on a date or something. I just felt so horrible about it. And I literally like fell to my knees in the shower. And I was just like, I'm so sorry. Like, universe, he wasn't there, obviously. I was just like singing into the, like, I'm so sorry. I acknowledged all of that. I shouldn't have done this. Whatever it was I did. I shouldn't have, partied with them. I shouldn't have paid that guy attention. Whatever it is I said. Do you know that night he called? My DM called. Because I had cleared that energy out. You know what I mean? I'll give you another example quickly. Mary, those of you who watch regularly, you may know her because I try to introduce my viewers, and we a lot of bonds have been formed through my channel. I'm happy about that. But whether you've met her or you know her or not, you may have seen her comment. She comments like every week, every video, for which I'm thankful. But she lately has been commenting a lot about how she's reunited with her DM, Capricorn, DM. We also saw the Knight of Pentacles along with, she's a Gemini too. So Knight of Swords and Knight of Pentacles. And, you know, and it took a long time. It was slow and steady progress. And one of the things that I'm sure she would agree that, if you ask me, contributed to it, made it possible, is the fact that she got settled finally. Like, you know, she was doing a lot of moving around before, you know, new apartment, I'm moving here, moving there. And she finally found a place where she got settled. And I see her online talking about, you know, buying plants and you know, new whatever. And just making it more and more home. Very Queen of Pentacles to match her King, right? Of Pentacles. And he came right in, you know, and they had been trying to get it right for years to get it right. And it seems like, you know, they finally have. Very, very happy for her. But I said all of that to say, doing things for ourselves, working on ourselves, clearing out our own energy can bring this in. And it's all tied in with the spirituality, right? Your own spiritual health that leads to that, to these connections of the spiritually based relationships. Another thing I'll go ahead and mention while I begin to pick up the other cards is that I had also seen something, and I think I knew this already, about the relationships that, and this is, I think, especially the earth signs, because they are so grounded and not necessarily spiritual, although the Hermit and the Hierophant are two very, you know, can be very spiritual cards. A lot of times they're just rooted, you know, those earth sign people are just rooted in what's here, you know, on this plane, and they're very much grounded. So particularly the earth sign males can be, they may realize finally that there is something spiritual in the connection between them and the feminine, that they are soulmates, maybe even that they are twin flames. But the part that we need to get to, or that they need to get to, I guess the next stage of their journey, is also realizing that once together, the energy that they can create together to change not only their lives, and will change not only their lives, but, you know, make changes in the world around them, their communities and stuff like that. It seems like the masculine doesn't realize that. Like a feminine, a lot of us know that that's the purpose of, you know, these sorts of unions. But the masculine, a lot of them have not realized that. So I think that's their next step. All right. Anyway, let's see what else we can clarify or get out of the cards that we have here. So joining the Nine of Swords in reverse from the Fortune Teller deck, we have the Fool. And he too is in reverse, although there's no reversals in this deck, but I wanted to point it out. Because again, the Fool for me is like Aquarius energy, so that would be swords. So it's like being afraid, maybe just take the leap forward. And this card instead guides us to have the courage to embrace change. You know, so it's about letting go of any fear that we have here with the Nine of Swords. Take risks and be adventurous. You know what? I'm going to do the other cards though first because they're smaller. And then we'll put these on top. I'll leave the Fool here though because it is going to go there. So also joining the Nine of Swords. This one showed up in reverse too, although there's no reversals in this deck either. It's the Tower. Major Arcana card 16, life experience. Important changes are coming into your life that will require you to take action. So that can be about what we're afraid too. Because I talked a lot about needing to take some sort of action here, right? Don't hesitate to move in new directions that you know are right for you. So don't be afraid to do those things. And it goes very well with the Fool, right? Because it's saying don't hesitate to move in new directions you know are right for you. Don't be afraid to take the leap, basically, and to move forward, which is the same thing the Fool is saying. Have the courage to embrace change and go ahead and take the risk. All right. Surrounding placement, again, close friends, family members, co-workers, all that kind of stuff. King of Wands. He is inspiring, dramatic, ambitious, and wise. Now's your moment to step up into a leadership role. Don't back away from the spotlight, as your plans will be successful as long as you stay focused upon the big picture. So some of us are going to get not only news that we do want to hear that's positive, but it will involve a new job or promotion or something, or some sort of leadership role, even if it's through a humanitarian effort, a volunteer, something that you do. But you're going to be called to the forefront, and it'll be up to you to decide whether you are ready to take that leap and accept or not. So that can be what the conflict is. You may be conflicted about a move forward that you hear about through some sort of surrounding energy, right? Something around you. You've received some sort of news. Work and finance. We have the Six of Cups. The loving care of children could become an important part of your life, or people from your childhood may return to it. Old memories can be healed, or possibly old childhood dreams are ready to be revived. This is more so, I think, for the people who are maybe thinking about starting their own business or have recently started your own businesses. This is about, bringing to life an idea that you had years ago that maybe you were afraid to move on, and now you're ready to be the boss and to do that, to enter something. So that's one possibility with this. Also, in terms of finances, something from the past could come up. And I think it would be something that you have already put effort and work into, and then maybe just sort of went by the wayside. Maybe you filled out some sort of application or form, and it's been a long time, but now you finally get your refund or credit, or you get called for the job or the apartment, or something like that, something from the past. Or you find money in your jeans from last fall, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Okay. Love and relationship. Ace of Swords. So after, again, this sort of conversation, discussion, facing whatever issues it is that we've been dealing with or needed to deal with, finally, then there's a new start. It comes also in the element or theme of swords. It's the Ace of Swords. Implementation of your brilliant new idea may get off to a rocky start, but keep going. The challenges will help you to refine your plan and to reshape your goals into something even better. So this is a new start that sometimes comes on the heels of some sort of difficulty, or things that didn't get off right, like a conversation, but it's a new start nonetheless. Physical health. This one also showed up in reverse. Again, there's no reversals in this deck, so I'm going to turn it right side up. But I think it's worth mentioning that it was in reverse, because for me, the world is a fire energy. It feels like fire, the same way the Dreamer card feels like Mercury. This feels like fire. And the sun, of course, is all about fire. Earth's star, the sun, rules the sign of Leo, and the sun card in the tarot represents the sign of Sagittarius. Congratulations on successfully accomplishing what you set out to do. You've made it through the challenges and incorporated the lessons that life offered you with grace and courage. So this sounds a lot like what I was just saying. I was just saying, like, what have you been doing that, has been working for you? Keep doing it. So it's like you surpassed whatever challenges, and now you've gotten it right. You're in the swing of things with your health, one way or another. Keep it up. Let's build on that. According to this, that cycle that you were in, that rut that you were in, just like the Four of Cups suggests, is over. And the Two of Cups for spiritual health. We have the Eight of Swords in reverse also. It's so easy to convince yourself that you're trapped when you really aren't. Trust that God will lift you to new heights and give you a greater sense of self-confidence if you first affirm your freedom. So like I was saying, nobody can do these things for you. You have to do it. You have to, get involved in that new spiritual group or ideology or, practice or whatever. You have to go ahead and get into that, relationship, give that person a chance, even if, other people suggest that you shouldn't. That maybe that's why we saw the Two of Swords today also. It's a decision that you have to make, action that you have to take for you, for improving your life. And without fear, like let go of the fear. So like we come full circle here too. We started out in fear, and then we're ending on a note of, okay, this in any of this, it's like self-imposed. You might feel trapped, but you're not trapped. You can get yourself out of, whatever rut you feel like you're in. And now I'll finish up with this other deck. So the surrounding energy, joining the King of Wands and the Page of Swords, is celebrations. You are ready to bring new and exciting things into your life. Again, like some sort of leadership role, maybe a new job or promotion or something. Some sort of reward, award, recognition, something. Surrounding energy, looking very much, so it's in the area of work, I think is very likely. Looking very much like the celebration card, we have the Cracker card. Positive energy surrounds you. Love, joy, and good fortune await in your area of work and finance. Love and relationship, boom. You have proposal. A romantic or business opportunity is indicated. It's love and relationships. I'm going to say more than likely it's romantic, but it could be a business thing that leads to something. Maybe you meet somebody at work ultimately, or through your work you connect with someone. Physical health, we're joined by Key. New beginnings, directions, and adventures await for those who are ready to let go of the past. So again, that cycle is ended of when things weren't working for you health-wise. Continue to build on what has been working for you, and continue to improve yourself and grow in a healthy way. And last but not least, spiritual health, joining the Eight of Swords and Two of Cups, we have Dragonfly. Have confidence during this time of great joy, renewal, and connection to spirit. So again, this is about you connecting to spirit in ways that feel natural to you, and your heart chakra will sort of guide and direct you. And you just have to be, ready to do it, not afraid to do it. Even if it's like a non-traditional relationship or a non-traditional spiritual practice that you're guided toward or whatever, you have to be, or at least, that's what the card is suggesting. You have to be the one to decide that you're going to pursue those things. I hope that you guys have enjoyed the reading. I'll be back with love for those that just wanted to see the cards. For those that want to hear about what else is happening this week, stick around. If you're going, though, please do like, share, subscribe, and comment before you do. For the rest of you, I'm going to open my computer. I just put it on my lap. Did you hear the thud? Sometimes I want a new laptop, but I don't want... I'm very happy that I fought so hard and looked so hard for a computer, like the last of the computers that had Windows 7, when everything else had already moved to 10. And I don't want 10. So that's why I'm still using this one. All right, anyway. I just signed in. Takes a second sometimes. Screen is just black. Okay. We're on. I don't know why it didn't go ding, but we're on. So as I mentioned earlier, on the Christian calendar, on the 7th of October, which is Thursday, we have the feast day of Our Lady of the Rosary. And for more about that, I went to www.franciscanmedia.org. St. Pius V established this feast in the year 1573. The purpose was to thank God for the victory of Christians over the Turks at Lepanto, a victory attributed to the praying of the Rosary. Clement XI extended the feast to the Universal Church in the year 1716, which of course equals 6 for Mary. The development of the Rosary has a long history. First, a practice developed of praying 150 or 6 Our Fathers in imitation of the 150 Psalms. Then there was a parallel practice of praying 150 Hail Marys. Soon, a mystery of Jesus' life was attached to each Hail Mary. Though Mary's giving of the rosary to St. Dominic is recognized as a legend, the development of this prayer form owes much to the followers of St. Dominic. One of them, Alain de la Roche, was known as the Apostle of the Rosary. He founded the first confraternity of the Rosary in the 15th century, again 6 for Mary. In the 16th century, 7 for Divinity of God, the Rosary was developed to its present form with the 15 or 6 mysteries, joyful, sorrowful, and glorious. In 2002 or 1111, Pope John Paul II or 11 added the 5 mysteries of light to this devotion. The purpose of the Rosary is to help us meditate on the great mysteries of our salvation. Pius XII called it a compendium of the gospel. The main focus is on Jesus, his birth, life, death, and resurrection. The Our Fathers remind us that Jesus' Father is the initiation of salvation. The Hail Marys remind us to join with Mary in contemplating these mysteries. They also make us aware that Mary was and is intimately joined with her Son in all of the mysteries of this earthly and heavenly existence. The Glory Bees remind us that the purpose of all life is the glory of the Trinity. The Rosary appeals to many. It is simple. The constant repetition of words helps to create an atmosphere in which to contemplate the mysteries of God. We sense Jesus and Mary are with us in the joys and sorrows of life. We grow in hope that God will bring us to share in the glory of Jesus and Mary forever. It's similar to, how Hindus pray with beads, from 108 beads. And this, instead is 150 prayers. But, Hindus would go around 108 times holding a bead each time. And that's the same way you pray the rosary. The smaller beads are the smaller beads are the Hail Marys, if I remember correctly. And the larger ones are the Our Fathers. Don't start me lying though. But I used to have to, I used to not only do it all the time, especially in the months of May and October, but I had to, because I went to Catholic school. So, anywho. Moving on. Also on the 7th, speaking of other cultures, again, the Hebrews or Jews have a feast on the 7th too. Well, it's the recognition of the start of the new month that comes along with the new moon, of course. Now, the Hebrew month of Heshvan. And for that, I went to www.shabbat.org. This is the time to take the inspiration and all that we've gained in the month of Tishrei and integrate it into our lives. The Heshvan is the second month of the Jewish calendar, counting from Rosh Hashanah, and the 8th month counting from Nisan. It's the only month that does not have any holidays or special mitzvot, which is like feast days, yeah. We are taught that it is reserved for the time of the Moshiach, or the Messiah, who will inaugurate the third temple in the month of Heshvan. So they spared it of holy days because it's going to have that one holiest of days when the Messiah returns during the month, is their belief. And you can learn more about it if you would like, not only on www.shabbat.org like I did, but I'm sure many, many places. What else? I think there was a third thing on the 7th. Oh, that's probably on the planetary calendar. Also, we have on the day of the new moon, which is the 6th, we also have the feast day of, or the Amavasya, which is, it happens every time there's a new moon or a full moon. But last month's and this month's are sort of special from what I understand. And this month is special in that, again, It recognizes the dead, so there's remembering of our lost, departed loved ones, ancestors. There's prayers, for them, and there are messages from them that come during this time. And I went to Prokerala.com, PROKERALA.com. As you can see, it's not a website I'm familiar with. It was totally random, but that's where I landed. It goes on to talk about how Amavasya in Sanskrit means day of the new moon. It also means belonging to the new moon or its festival. In Indian culture, especially among Hindus, I started to talk about this earlier today, the day and night of Amavasya holds great significance. Many festivals or vrats or fastings are associated with Amavasya Tithi. One of the most popular and brightest festivals in India, Diwali, falls on the Amavasya of the Indian calendar month of Karthik. So it's actually next month this year. It's November 4th, I think. But the next Amavasya is on October 6th, Wednesday. So that's this week. It falls on the 6th in the Hindu calendar in the month of Ashwin and is observed as Mahalaya Amavasya. On the next day, the 7th, so the 7th is important for them too, Thursday begins the 9-day Navratri festival. So there's a whole festival that is starting on the 7th in association with this new moon. And in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, on the Telugu calendar, it marks the beginning of yet another festival. It goes on to say the day is held in high reverence by many and is believed to be the most auspicious day to offer or pay homage to one's ancestors, especially dead parents. Yes, this is what I was looking for. Some of the most popular observances and important Amavasya dates are Mauni Amavasya, Shani, Jayanti. It goes on to talk about a whole bunch of other days. We're talking about tomorrow. So yeah, if you want more on this, you can go to the same website I went to or a website of your choice and find more, I am sure. I'm moving on to the planetary calendar. And we're beginning with October 6th at 7:05 a.m. We'll experience the new moon in Libra, 13 degrees Libra. So I'll do a separate reading for the moon. Also on October 6th at 2:29 p.m., Pluto goes direct. This may be why we saw the Queen of Cups, again, which I said is most directly correlates to the sign of Scorpio of the three water signs. Pluto is one of Scorpio's rulers, with the other being Mars. And this Pluto will go direct at 24 degrees Capricorn. So that may be also why we saw immediately after the Knight of Pentacles. On October 7th, at 7:21 a.m., Venus enters Sagittarius, 0 degrees Sagittarius. On October 8th, at 9:33 p.m., Ceres goes retrograde, 12 degrees Gemini. And that's the last thing for this week that we're going to recognize. So going to www.tarot.com, Pluto direct in astrology. Tiny but powerful Pluto, the planet of truth and transformation, goes direct on October 6th, 2021, after 5 months in retrograde. That sounds intense, right? Well, it is. When Pluto starts moving forward, all of our deepest desires and secrets will begin to surface. While Pluto was retrograde, we were more inclined to turn inward and to bury our deepest truths and wishes. But Pluto direct is like a green light to confront the darkest parts of ourselves and others. This isn't a negative thing, but rather it's a way of bringing truth out into the light so it can be dealt with. This works as a catalyst on both personal and planetary levels, so we can all expect Pluto's powers to transform our lives in one way or another now. If you've been reassessing relationships or other areas of your life during Pluto retrograde, it's now time to stop thinking about making those changes and to truly take action. Be honest with yourself and others and move forward from the dark to the light. Also from www.tarot.com, Venus in Sagittarius. Adventurous, joyful, larger than life. Venus is the planet of love, self-worth, money, and all things beautiful. Maybe this is why I was guided to talk to you about the self-worth and doing things for yourself and that showing up in other areas of your life, like your relationships, or resulting in, union and things like that. Anyway, her style is sweet, cooperative, and peaceful. But when this graceful planet moves into the free-spirited sign of Sagittarius, her joyful side will come out to play. Hearts come out of hiding while Venus moves through Sagittarius. The happy and free energy of Sagittarius turns Venus up a few notches, encouraging us to live life to the fullest. This is a time to socialize, to try new things, and to look for love in different places. Sagittarius is the sign of the adventurer. So when Venus is traveling through this sign, we find ourselves drawn to exotic people, places, and experiences. Our old routines and worn-out relationships are at risk of being traded in for something bigger, brighter, and better while Venus is in Sagittarius. We want to expand beyond our usual boundaries and may give up some of our comfortable patterns of the past in order to try out new experiences. So that's what we kept seeing here in the cards. Love needs to grow during this transit. It will not stand still. I think I used the word grow about something too, having to do with love and relationship. Sagittarius doesn't like to be tied down, so Venus's dance here, it's best to keep love light and open and to avoid taking things too seriously. Those in serious relationships can liven things up by taking a trip to a place neither of you have been, signing up for a class to learn something new together. Singles could find love where they least expect it while Venus is in Sagittarius. Things that feel totally different are especially exciting now, and new lovers may be found through travel or in school, a book club, or other areas of learning. Or like I said before, work maybe. Trust and honesty matter greatly while Venus is in Sagittarius. We want to believe the best, but things can often be exaggerated during this transit, and we may realize that we're being taken for a ride. Like I said, all isn't necessarily as it seems, according to the cards that we got today. Or people aren't necessarily as they appear. People, places, and things all appear grander than ever, but once the glitter wears off, we may see that they aren't so great after all. While Venus is in Sagittarius, we want excitement and pleasure, and we want it now. We could quickly empty our wallets without giving it a second thought. Sagittarius likes a little risk, including financially. Excessive spending, gambling, and frivolity should be watched carefully during this transit. However, investing some money in a new course of study or faraway travel experience is a way to use this energy for good. With Venus in Sagittarius, we have an amazing opportunity to look at the bright side of everything. The more possibility and positivity we put out now, the more we'll receive in return. And that's exactly what I talked about today. Wow. The goal I want to talk about more of if you were born with Venus and Sagittarius in your own personal chart. So if you were, you may be interested in going to www.tarot.com like I did and reading more about Venus in Sagittarius. But I'm moving on to the asteroid Ceres in Gemini. And for this, I'm on yahoo.com actually. Asteroid Ceres in Gemini, nurturing of the higher mind. Ceres in Gemini dates July 31st to December 21st, 2021. Then it retrograded back, or it will retrograde back to Taurus from December 21st through February 9th. And then retrograde again back into Gemini February 9th to May 15th, 2022. Interesting. Anyway, on July 31st, Ceres, the goddess asteroid of nurturance, departs sensual Taurus for curious and inquisitive Gemini. Ceres's astrological movements define how we provide support and offer care. And during its stay in Taurus, we did this by cultivating safe spaces and offering financial assistance and resources. Yet, we also had to be aware of overstepping others' boundaries. Instead of protecting those we love from hardship, we risked enabling them, with our help becoming a crutch rather than an assist. Now, Ceres prepares us to enter Gemini, where it will remain for the better part of a year due to its retrograde cycle. At this time, we nurture others through conversation and communication. This transit sees us taking our first tentative steps back out into the world, braving interactions with strangers and co-workers after a lengthy period of isolation within our own bubbles. Yeah, that can be what this is about too. Maybe getting back out into the world, going like you've been working from home, maybe you're going to go back to work in person or something like that too. Anyway, it might take a minute to feel comfortable in holding casual, lengthy discussions. Honesty can read as blunt or cutting. The general one might be misinterpreted. Well-intentioned questions can be misconstrued. Gemini territory is changeable and oftentimes erratic. Well, I beg your pardon. We can find our minds scattered between multiple topics or ideas because there is simply so much to catch up on. That's true, actually. While Ceres transits Gemini, the concept of care doesn't require huge gestures. It requires us to witness others and to allow them to tell their stories. It demands that we begin to internalize the variety of experience that those around us have confronted during pandemic life. Perhaps some of us re-enter the workforce quickly with tales to tell of being an essential worker. Or maybe some of us lost jobs and had to figure it out and how to keep our families afloat. Perhaps some of us learned TikTok dances, studied new languages, or discovered surprising passions. And so it talks about how to harness that energy, the Gemini Ceres energy. It is a challenge to have compassion for others when their realities are reduced to an anecdotal factoid. It's much easier to have compassion for someone when they're sharing their unique perspective as we are looking them in the eye. In Taurus, Ceres offered safety in the form of shelter and familiar comforts. In Gemini, Ceres offers safety in contact and cognizance. Hearing others' experiences helps us to develop empathy. We all are processing at different speeds. Ceres in Gemini makes us aware that people are not statistics and their stories mean something. Not everyone's energy level is the same, and many are reacclimating to being out in the world in their own ways. Yet, no matter our circumstances, we have the ability and the responsibility to communicate with each other in ways that foster mutual respect. Re-emerging from behind a screen and the false protection of image curation means that we need to get cozy with others' differences, including their differences of opinions. Asking thoughtful questions and framing our responses considerately is the best course of action. We cannot force someone to learn something that they're not ready or willing to learn, nor should we belittle others if their choices or views diverge from our own. Dialogue, therefore, becomes a healing practice, and conversation becomes a medium that is restorative. And it goes on to talk about the Ceres conjunct with the North Node. I don't know on what date that is. It says Ceres will conjunct the lunar North Node twice during its transit through Gemini. First on August 24th at 6 degrees, so we passed that one already. It's going to happen again on December 12th at 1 degree. It says record your experiences around these dates and note any pertinent exchanges. We could find ourselves reparenting through discourse or nurturing new self-understanding by counteracting limiting beliefs, thereby orienting ourselves toward a better future. We might realize that living in the present and resolving to uplift each other despite all our current woes is healthier than pining for a romanticized pre-pandemic past. On that note, I hope you guys have enjoyed the reading. I will be back with love and in the moon reading. Please do like, share, subscribe, and comment. Namaste.